Paul McLaughlin at Work, with Melba Duncan, president of the Duncan Group and the founder of the Duncan Leadership Institute. What have you seen of the changing role of the executive assistant in corporate America?
There is a noticeable lack of continuity in growth and development. And because of that, it really brings us to the need for academic education, for workplace education at the executive assistant level. Therein lies the need and the desire to create the Duncan Leadership Institute. This is about workplace change. This is about engaging employees at a new level. This is about educating assistants in the same manner and in the same subject that executives would need to learn, but applicable to their level of support. Paul McLaughlin, you have been very instrumental in moving this forward and encouraging us to move this idea forward. And with your help, we have been able to bring to the team two outstanding professors from Columbia University, Tom Ference and Norman Toy, whose background and historical perspective has been to look particularly at executive education.
The executive MBA was designed to serve a particular need, which were people that rose to a certain level and found it to continue on to the next. They needed to add to their perspective, knowledge, and wisdom. I have designed and managed degree programs for a long, long time. At the same time, I developed customized programs for lots of corporations where the work that we do, particularly that we've done together, is with people at the senior functional management, one step away from general management level, taught at a graduate level. And most of what we've done together and most of what that's relevant here is custom designed executive development outside the degree environment. The executive assistant, who has the most intimate professional relationship with the C-level executive, basically acquired it out of energy, loyalty, commitment, intelligence, and devotion. So it struck me as that if I were an executive and investing in somebody, I want to invest in the people that are part of the general management team. My assistant is part of the general management team.
Melba, Tom just mentioned the evolving management team as they see it from an academic perspective in executive education. Put that in the light of your experience with the new role for the executive assistant.
Executive assistants today are expected to think along the lines of management, leadership, with complexity as an aspect of that, managing complexity, the ability to work with diverse populations, the ability to understand the strategy of the companies in which they are hired and are expected to perform. They need to know exactly what their employer is responsible for. In order to make decisions that are appropriate and that help to move the work forward, education is now an actual, unquestionable component of your growth and development. The more you understand about what's taking place, is the better able you are to make the decisions that will actually set and keep your executive on a path to which he or she has determined they want to go.
These are mature adult individuals, and adult education has long known that experiential learning is much more effective than didactic learning for many subjects. They will learn a lot of the other things from their fellow classmates in this kind of program. The participants have a wealth of knowledge about how to get things done, and they will share them. And they'll, in a sense, be many of them more important than things that we might be focusing on in that particular session.
Critical thinking, strategic thinking, visionary, the ability not to get the work done, but to think about why you're doing the work and to make actions in the present based on whether or not they're going to take you to corporate goals, corporate mission, corporate stuff. In other words, to move away from reactive to shaping the future by decisions in the present. We get at that in the classroom by cases and so forth where you're thrust into positions. We say, if you were the executive here, what would you do? If you were the, in other words, so you learn by hearing other people, by modeling. The third level of education, and the most important, is the one that Norman mentioned, which is the experiential or the application. Take the stuff with the perspective that lots of think about it differently because you've learned to think strategically, and apply that to the ongoing realities of your situation. We're going to put them into positions in teams of effectively running a corporation. Will that make them more productive for themselves and the organization? In general, our experience says yes, because of confidence, perspective and confidence.
Melba, what is the value proposition of the Duncan Leadership Institute?
I think the value proposition really targets three areas. One, and most important, is the company. When you have an educated workforce that enables you to compete. When you are educated to think in a much broader way, you can then bring to the table a level of conversation that is no longer driven by, I am here to do as I am told, rather I'm here to contribute.
We'd like to break it up into pieces, partly to let some latent learning go on, but also not to make such a big footprint in terms of their office availability and their service to their corporation. So there has to be a commitment on the part of the person they serve to allow them the time to do this.
Without the time to go in and out of the job and in and out of the learning environment, you don't get that integration of learning and doing that's so important.
I understand what it means to be a manager. I understand what it means to really understand leadership and the complexity that's involved with leadership today. And I understand how to take care of someone's life, which is ultimately the actual purpose of this role.
I think the idea that they are empowered after the program to identify and assume responsibility for issues that don't fall on anybody's particular plate and lead the organization to deal with them is really very powerful.
So it benefits all three groups. Most important is that it gives companies a way to say and a way to suggest that this is a very important population and we owe it to you, and the time is now.
So when you speak about leadership, I have heard one definition of a leader is an individual who has followers. It strikes me that the same could be used for the definition of an executive assistant. It is somebody who assists in an executive way and is more known for the people they take care of than the title of executive assistant. How does that fold into your thoughts?
Management is a position that comes with authorities, responsibilities, titles, and we all have to, or you're a manager, you're not a manager, you're an individual contributor. Leadership is interpersonal dynamics and relationships. Leadership is not position tied, it's tied to the person and the other persons. And one can function effectively as a leader without a position of authority. And increasingly in complex global organizations, traditional authority models are just too slow and inefficient. So it's people that understand that leadership is based on the quality of their ideas, the quality of their relationships, their respect for others and others' respect for them. It's not positionally tied. And when we say these folks are at the nerve center of the organization, whether they have a rank or not on the table of organization, they have to exercise leadership.
In order for the Duncan Leadership Institute to be a reality, we need support. We need corporate support. We need support from CEOs, the C-suite, and we need support from executive assistants to bring this to fruition.